Hello, dear friends. This is Mediumship and Attunement at 11 p.m. at Cardiac Radio. We are here together to study this book that was psychographed by Chico Xavier in 1986. The spirit author is Emmanuel, and Emmanuel brings to us new understanding in so many ways. So you're welcome to join us. We're studying today chapter 3. We have already revisited his preface. In the preface of the book, Emmanuel tells us about, and I'm just rescuing the preface here. He tells us about mediumship being mental force, creative talent of the soul, capacity to communicate and to interpret the soul, magnet in the very being. So I as a medium, you as a medium, everybody as a medium, we emit and thus we attract. And thus the need to understand the facet of attunement. Attunement is mutual agreement. And the question is, what are we attuning to and with whom, right? To whom and to what? In chapter 1, Emmanuel told us about ourselves being fruitful trees. Mediums are fruitful trees. So we are supposed to produce fruits. We're supposed to bring about the good, right? Be the intermediary of the good. What good are we actually doing? Chapter 2, Emmanuel was bringing to us the fact that Jesus as our guide and model and the medium of God did what he needed to do in spite of people's questionings. And that's what he left for us yesterday. That we should educate our hearts according to the Christ consciousness and serve always, 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 always. And today we're studying chapter 3. Examine your desire. What is this to do with mediumship? So these are some of the reflections that the Spirit Emmanuel is bringing to us. Are you ready? Let us ask for God's kindness always to lead us into opening of our minds, new understanding, but especially new feeling of the scriptures. God, who are we in your enormous, enormous universe? We are your children, and yet so many of us, but equally important to you. Please help us see what we haven't seen yet and feel the good. During this hour, we kindly ask for healing and for the healing of the souls on earth, in the moon, in our universe. May we feel your loving intervention and strengthen our faith in you always, and so be it. Welcome, friends. I'm tempted to say hi to all those whom I can see here, so I will do it. Hello, Chris Anastasia. How are you? Hello, Raquel Leong. How are you? Hello, Senhora Liz. How are you? Hello, Sunshine. How are you? Sorry, friends. I was just sipping my own saliva. Isn't that funny? I'm just being funny. Adilson, how are you? Karina Lissi, big hug to you, my friend. Teresa Castro, how are you? Raquel Bakeshi, how are you? My dear friend Carol Correa, how are you? Jailton, thank you for joining us. Nora Brazil, big hug to you. Hercules Fernandes, thank you for joining us. Paula, how are you? Paula Daisy, what a joy, friends. It's a joy to be together. Shall we now read Emmanuel's words and meditate on it? He begins titling chapter 3, Examine Your Desire. What is that important in mediumship? Let's see. He begins by saying, mediumship is vibrating instrument, and every conscious individual can attune it to the goal they seek. For this reason, medium won't only be the one that is in the interchange between the living on earth and the living in the spiritual realm. Each person is a living instrument of this or that achievement, according to the type of struggle to which they are subordinated. You will find what you seek, teaches the gospel, and we can add, you will do what you want. Thus, if you relegate yourself to slander, you will soon become the vehicle of unhappy geniuses who are devoted to injury and cruelty. If you remain in hunting for the pleasure of the senses, soon you'll become the interpreter of the intelligences magnetized by the vices of varied expression. If you associate yourself to the pretended superiority under the intoxication of the misapplied intellectual values, in a little while you'll become a channel of folly and madness. However, if you strive in goodwill towards others, you will imperceptibly have your hearts impelled by the messengers of the eternal good to the service you can perform in the construction of common happiness. Observe your course so that you do not have problems with companionship. Descend to animalism, and you will find the vast crowd of those who accompany you with dark purposes in the rear guard. Elevate yourself in self-improvement, and you will walk surrounded by those pioneers of evolution who preceded you on the journey of light, guiding your aspirations for the victories of the soul. Examine your desires and watch your own thoughts, because wherever you place your heart, there life will await you with the wings of the good or the handcuffs of evil. Wow, breathe in and out. We have a lot to dissect here. It's as if we are in an anatomy course, opening the beautiful anatomy of the body and trying to understand how it works and what it does and what it is. Hello, Melissa, how are you? Nina Dui Raza, how are you? Rosie, how are you, Rosie? So friends, let us begin from the beginning. As if he's answering to your very question, he titles, Examine Your Desire, and we ask, what is it to do with mediumship, Emmanuel? He already knows we're going to ask this question, and he answers, mediumship is vibrating instrument. Vibrating instrument. What does that mean? It's an instrument that emits and it attracts emotion. That's why, my friends, time and again we repeat, if you know you're a medium and you don't educate your mediumship, you're in trouble. You need to educate your mediumship, or we'll be in trouble attracting energies that are like our non-coordinated ones, and thus we will resent the effect. Life can be much better when we educate our mediumship. But what is mediumship education? It begins with self-observation, self-control. We need to understand our body And that's a good, I'm going to give you a good metaphor so you keep in mind. Think of a dog owner, the leash and the dog. The dog is the physical body, the leash, the perispirit or the spiritual body, and you, the owner. To work on ourselves well and work on self-management, we need to work in the 3 dimensions we talked about. We need to care for the body, learn how to manage it well, nourish our spiritual body, and give it proper hygiene and good vibrations. And only the exercising the good for the others without any reward is going to keep it tuned. And thus the mind of ourselves, the mind of the spirit, with good thoughts and feelings, inevitably. Okay? So he says to us here, every conscious individual can attune mediumship to the goal they seek. So if I don't educate my mediumship, which the second part is about instruction, understanding what I'm thinking, feeling, so I know which other minds I'm attracting to myself. If I enjoy paying attention, even if it's for a split second, on something that is not beneficial, I will attract a counter force, counter thought, counter feeling that comes from those who are in that connection. It's like Wi-Fi. You're connected. You're going to start receiving messages. Oh, but I didn't want to, so don't connect. Connect. And there is no thing about not connecting. We need to connect, but we need to make a choice. That's why Emmanuel says, seek the good always. So in matter of attunement, the station is the good. And there is not half good. Because if we're not in tune with the station of the good, we are in tune with the station of whatever you name it. Evil, that's what it is. But what is evil? The lack of the good. It's like light and darkness. Light exists. Darkness is the absence. Evil is the absence of the good. So if we don't feel the good, if we don't think the good, if we don't do the good, automatically we're doing evil. Because it's the natural absence of it. You see? So there is not like, but I'm just saying, but I'm just doing, but I'm just, there's no just. It's either or. And the consequences exist. For every action, there's a reaction. And now he's talking about mediums are not only those that are in the exchange of 2 realms. So who is a medium? He says, every person is a living instrument of this or that achievement according to the type of struggle to which they are subordinated. So, if I am a person who is focusing on soccer, I'll be a medium of everything that happens in soccer. You like cooking, a medium of cooking. You like reading good books, you'll be a medium of the messages of the good books. He says, you will find what you seek, quoting the gospel. And he adds, you will do what you want. And then we ask ourselves, but Emmanuel, that's not exactly what it is. Because sometimes I do what I don't want. And then we would say, probably because you don't know yourself enough. Because deep inside, we are still vibrating in that direction. When St. Paul said, that he often did what he didn't want to do. He was telling us that he was still working on developing his new self, just like ourselves. And that's how it is. It's like a tree and the old branch that goes to that direction, and the new branch that is sprouting this direction. It's not as strong, it's not as branchy, but we need to give it more fuel and prune the other one to give more strength to the new one. Have we been pruning the old self? That's a good strategy. We need to die. As St. Francis said, St. Francis, it is in dying that we live. What did he say? Many meanings. One of them, surely, one of the meanings is to die the old in us, old conditionings. But to die in the old, to make the old conditionings die, we need to give fuel to the new conditionings. How? Making effort. It requires effort. Many people think that things are going to happen just out of the blue. I'll give an example. In a family, if you go to the book 15 Cases of Previous Lives, the book is yet to come in publishing form because it's still under revision. But we have already done the study sessions here at Kardec Radio, and you can find in the playlists 15 Cases of Previous Lives in the Facebook video playlists, or you can find it in Kardec Radio's YouTube channel, or the audio at SoundCloud as well. Why am I mentioning this book? Because in that book there are cases that give examples of this. For example, there is a mother who doesn't allow her son to date, to marry the woman he loves. And she forces him into a marriage he didn't want, arranged marriage. There is much more to the story, but there is a point that Amália Domingo Soler, as the medium, is asked. Why? Why? Why didn't this mother allow her son to get married to the woman he loved? The spirits answer, because in a previous life, her son and the woman he loves in this life were married. Pay attention to the story. There is a mother in this life and a son. Her son wants to get married to a woman. The mother says, no, you're gonna get married to another woman. Okay, why? Previous life. The spirit explains. That mother, that son, was married to the woman he loves. They were married. They had a daughter. They were of high socioeconomic status. Okay? And the girl fell in love with a musician. The parents didn't approve. They said, no, you're not going to get married to this man. And they exiled the man far away from the daughter, and one day he died. That man who died reincarnated as the mother of the very man who exiled him. The mother of the girl in a previous life is the very woman whom he wants to get married in this life. So the mother is the man who was exiled, reincarnated in the body of a woman. And now, as in the body of a woman, as a mother, what was his mission? To forgive and to do to others what he wanted to happen to him. Did he do it? No. Love didn't prevail. Why? Old conditioning. And that happens in our lives. How many parents confiscate their love for their very children because they're still not able to forgive their children? Many cases. Read chapter 14, item 9 of the Gospel According to Spiritism by Allan Kardec. And we're going to see the recommendations of St. Augustine. And that is so often the case. When the old self doesn't open up to the new. So we need new conditioning. We reincarnate. But then we forget that in this reincarnation we're supposed to be better. We just reinforce the old. We need to reincarnate. There are people who are reincarnated physically, but mentally they're still not reincarnated. They have not begun anew. They have not renewed themselves, still finding the old conditionings in this life. That is a waste of time. Raza is asking, what means to confiscate the love of the children? What I meant is, they don't love their children fully and unconditionally. Thank you for asking this. It means that they have the love, but they don't want to give 100% because they have one step back, feeling the unconscious resentment. And you can see clearly in parents, because when you love your child, you sacrifice your life for the child. Really sacrifice. You love, you protect, you care. Nowadays, I see even in this cold weather that we have here in northern United States, parents who do not give enough clothing for their children, and they are not poor. They don't pay attention to the children's needs. Today I saw it. A child coming into a facility, and a wealthy family. The child was shivering. Didn't have enough layers of protection. And the parents didn't notice. What a shame. Because when we love, we give. We can do much more. And we don't need to be the smartest person on earth. Because love has nothing to do with the intellect. Look at animals. How animals protect their pups, like dogs, cats, bears. It's unconditional. But when we enter the realm of our free will, we may step back and not give 100% of our love. Think about this. So he says to us, if you relegate yourself to slander, you'll soon become the vehicle of unhappy geniuses who are devoted to injury and cruelty. It's funny that the first example he gives is about slander. And we wonder why. Of all things Emmanuel could have said, he says slander. Why? Go back to the book we studied before, Evolution into Worlds. Word and responsibility. The minute we are able to communicate as we do at human level, we become responsible. There is a connection between the use of word and responsibility. And we're not there yet. We're still unaware of the power of our words. And there are people creating slanders, and I tell them, go talk to the person face to face and see if it's possible that what you're creating is sustained. That's why they don't do it face to face. They do it in the corners, on the back of the person. Because if they said it face to face, they wouldn't be able to finish the sentence of the slander they have created. And he says, if you slander, you become medium of bad spirits, unhappy spirits. It's good to know. In the whole spiritist literature, the spirits keep repeating the effects of slander. We connect, we become mediums of unhappy geniuses, and then we want to be happy. In the Spiritist magazine by Kardec, Review Spirit, he mentions the case of two sisters who asked for help because the spirits were throwing pans and pots in their kitchen. And then the spirits came at Kardec's meeting and said, you know what? They are constantly bad-mouthing people. We are teaching them a lesson because they are destroying people's images, unaware of the consequences. Humberto de Campos has cases after cases of people who speak ill of others or create stories or assume things because they thought they've seen or they've heard, and how they destroy lives, pushing people to murder and or suicide. And to us tonight, we're being asked, are we creating slander? If we are, please read the book. The books, 2,000 years ago, 50 years later, by Emmanuel. Because there he talks about how a woman created big slander towards his wife, the Senator Publius Lentulus, and Livia, his wife, and how it destroyed their marriage, and how Jesus was not able to be rescued because of the slander she created. No wonder the first thing he's saying here is slander. Because on the behind the scenes of Jesus' martyrdom, there is slander. The slander of the woman against the wife of the senator, who potentially, if in a good relationship with his wife, could have listened to her and saved him. I'm not going to say this could be the end of the story, but it's the hypothesis when you read the book. Read it and let's talk about it, okay? Hello, Juliana. Hello, Nívia. How are you? Hello, John da Rosa. Hello, Cristina Carvalho. Hello, Andrea Torres. Welcome, welcome. So, let us pay attention. But I'm just saying, please don't say it. Because when we say it, we start creating open doors for unhappy spirits. We won't be happy either. 2, if you remain hunting for the pleasure of the senses, you will become the medium of intelligences that are connected to vices. Porn. If you watch porn, and I know nowadays many men, many women, who through WhatsApp keep sending pictures, videos, porn. Sometimes it's just a beautiful firefighter. People say, oh, it's harmless, Vanessa, and they post on Facebook. A firefighter who doesn't wear a t-shirt. And I say, guys, if we're that low, because this is the pleasure of the senses, that body of that person is not ours. We cannot do this. objectify a person. Let's wake up, shake our heads, open our eyes and say, whoa, what am I doing? That person is a child of God. A child of God. Right, Rudy? Welcome, Rudy. Thank you. Think about this, friends. It's serious. It's critical. What kinds of spirits will be with us? And then people want a happy marriage and a happy relationship. And then they keep dreaming about others during that relationship. Somebody needs to tell us, and it's Emmanuel telling us, stop it. Sometimes people just say, oh, I want to numb my senses just a little bit, just a glass of wine. Of course, to connect to Facebook, you just need a password. You don't need 2 passwords. You only need a glass or a sip to actually enter another realm of mental connections. Right, Rihanna, this is so true, she's saying. I was upset with someone, not through words but thought, and while in the kitchen. Plates fell to the floor behind me. We must always watch our thoughts. Thank you for sharing this experience, Rihanna. And that's exactly what happens. I have a friend. She was driving a car, thinking about people whom she had a hard time with. And she said, Vanessa, at that moment, I almost crashed the car. Thank God I didn't. But then I quickly woke up and said, oh my gosh, I shouldn't. She was just thinking about things that happen in that frequency. And it was enough for her anger to be out. And she almost crashed the car. Right, Carol Correa. So we need to ask ourselves, are we hunting for the pleasure of the senses? Oh, but I just do it because I like it. We cannot use people. People are not objects. We cannot misuse our bodies anymore. Give to it food that is not nourishing. We cannot give it toxins that will destroy, including alcohol. If there is anybody who has a question about how alcohol, social drinking is detrimental, please write to us at Cardiac Radio, because we can send you more information about this. Okay? It's an ongoing campaign. 3, if you associate yourself to the pretended, oh, I forgot to say, he said, when we do that, we open doors to spirits that are addicted and will be connected to us. These are vampirizing entities. Read the book Sex and Destiny. Andrea Lewis, in that book, shows to us how a man comes from work and just drinks a cup or 2 of alcoholic beverage. And he shows to us that on the behind the scenes, the spirits who are in our house connected to us are the ones who need the alcohol too. They are feeding us in our needs to drink. You don't drink alone. You don't make sex alone. If it's not sex with true love, you're not alone. Think about it. So, Vanessa, what do I do? Pray. And people laugh and say, but Vanessa, if I pray, I don't do sex. Then don't. Because if you cannot feel God at that moment, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be sublime. Seriously, seriously. Is it possible to feel pleasure? God created pleasure, for God's sakes. It was not you. So don't feel ashamed. If you do it out of love, say, God, thank you. I'm feeling it. Do it. But it's between you and your partner. Not you and 10,000 people. It's an orgy. And then no wonder problems happen. in a relationship, right? How often we just need to be soothed, and then we eat more and more and more and more and more. What kind of spirits are going to be with us in those occasions? We're asked tonight to be better mediums. If we ask what Emmanuel is telling us, saying, come on, everybody's a medium because we are vibrating instruments, we tune to other minds according to our interests. So let us be better mediums, mediums that can produce fruits. Hello, Isabella Silvestre, how are you? He says more. If you associate yourself to pretended superiority under the intoxication of misapplied intellectual values, in a little while, you become a channel of folly and madness. How many people think they're better than others? They know more than others. They study, read, but they don't share it. Now you have social media, share it. You don't need to say it's you. You just say, look, I read this book, and you repeat what you've read, or you just read it out loud, but you don't keep it to yourself. Rarely a writer of any book has written by themselves. In Spiritism, we're learning to give credit to this partnership. Yes, we don't do anything alone. And in Spiritism, we simply share with others that we haven't thought the good things by ourselves, but we have credit when we decide to think the good, to feel the good, to do the good, but we never do the good alone. Emmanuel is going to tell it at the end of this chapter. And he says, when we think we're better than others, we're a step closer to being silly or mad, thinking that we're better than others. But if you strive to do the good, hearts of those messengers of eternal good will come and operate through you. Observe your course so you do not have problems with your companionship. You and I have spirit friends around. Which kind of friends? It depends. If we're doing the good, good friends. If we're doing evil, evil friends. And evil, as we said before, is just the absence of the good. Right? Hello, Maria Wall. Jailton is mentioning to us, now I understand why all religions are so strict with the sexual act in general, allowing it only between love partners. Thank you, Jailton. That's a topic really to be explored more in our study sessions in the near future. We ask the good spirits for permission one day. It's not easy to talk about this because there are many vampirizing entities who feed themselves. There's a whole industry that feed themselves off of it. So it's like a can of worms, but Spiritism really opens our eyes little by little to that reality. So he says, if we descend to animal instincts, the company around us is going to be of dark purposes. But if we elevate ourselves in self-improvement, and we will be walking around, and listen to this because this is crowning, surrounded by the pioneers of evolution who preceded us on the journey towards the light, guiding your aspirations for the victories of the soul. It's your choice. It's my choice. Examine your desire and say, I want to do the good. And the rest is a party of fraternity, solidarity. Yes, and you don't need to be afraid. Some people say, but who am I? You're a child of God. like everybody else, including the masters of the universe. God loves us all the same. And He finalizes, examine your desires and watch your own thoughts, meaning feelings as well, because wherever you place your heart, there life will await you with the wings of the good or the handcuffs of evil. What is our homework for the next 24 hours? To examine our desire. That's our homework, huh? What is your main desire in life? And what are your main thoughts and feelings? Let us write it down and come back, because in the next 24 hours we're going to talk more about mediumship and attunement, friends. For now, I would like to finalize with a prayer, asking God's guidance so we can, as we examine our desires and our thoughts, feelings, may we have guidance to transform them towards the good. Shall we, friends? Let us visualize a beautiful rainbow of light, healing light. Oh God, thank you so much for allowing us to be together, for giving us this sacred opportunity to meditating together on the good, being instructed by Emmanuel through Chico, Xavier, and the beauty of pruning our trees so we can be better fruitful trees as mediums. Thank you for your loving embrace, for your kindness, and may we in the next 24 hours be aware of our desires, our thoughts and feelings, and calibrate ourselves with your wonderful heart, so you can keep counting on us sooner than later as your instruments on earth. Good instruments may we become, and so be it. Thank you, friends. It is a blessing. And until tomorrow, God willing, as we nourish our souls at Cardiac Radio, big hug and lots of love.